Hello and welcome to another night at the round table. I am David Flora. With me for this round table, surprise, surprise, we have Derek from Monsters Among Us. What's up, Derek?
Howdy ho, neighbors. How's everyone doing?
Pretty good, neighborino. From Seeing This, we have Justin Zinger. What's up, Zinger?
How's it going, everyone? I'm excited to talk about this movie.
Sounds like
I'm
it.
excited too. So we're going to talk about The Curse of La Llorona tonight. This is a 2019 movie, just came out last year. It's on HBO now.
Or HBO Max.
HBO Max, HBO Now, HBO Go, whatever the crap they're calling it these days. And this one was one I seriously considered going to see in the theater because Blurry Photos had covered this topic, a couple years back. Not our traditional style, but it was a fun time nonetheless. And so I was like, I wonder what they are going to do with this. It's an interesting story. And then they made this movie. So kind of glad I didn't see it in the theater. Anyway, let's go through the plot, I guess.
Let me just start off real quick. Before we get anywhere, Justin and I had a vote yesterday. And David, you're not allowed.
I'm out.
You're not allowed to pick any more movies. You're 0 for 3. You're done. You're cut off. Okay, continue. Carry on.
I wanted to ask real quick. Okay, so we have this movie, but is this whole curse thing or this whole mythos thing something you guys have heard about before?
Oh yeah.
Or where'd you guys hear about this before? Because I actually have a fun story of where I first discovered it.
Of La Llorona?
Yeah.
It was something that we came across when looking for show topics back, I think it was like 2017, 2016, somewhere around in there. And I think we just stumbled across this entity, this figure, this folklore. We were like, this sounds good. There's not a lot to it, but let's see if we can cover it anyway. I think it was going to be one of those kind of shorter shows. We were gonna riff a lot on it, and then like the day before we were set to record, I just got this crazy idea to make it into an audio drama. And so I was like, give me a couple days and let's put this together. And then it was just nuts after that. But that's where I had heard about it. I forgot even where I heard the story initially, if I just read it somewhere or maybe I was looking for topics or something, but that's where I heard it.
For me, it was submitted as a call, actually.
Really?
I want to say late second season, maybe, something like that. Maybe as a hometown legend, in fact. One way or another, somebody submitted a story about, La Llorona, and I've received probably 4 or 5 since the show began. And usually it's not an experience somebody has. I think there may be 1 or 2, but most of it's just telling of the legend or somebody they knew experienced it or somebody they knew actually died from it. So it's certainly a cautionary tale that the Latino population certainly takes seriously, I think.
So this is something I kind of had heard about like a while back. Like it kind of came up in like when I was looking up paranormal stuff and everything. But the way I actually got introduced to the story and the actual kind of mythos behind it was actually from the Blurry Photos episode.
Oh boy.
Which I will say this, compared to this movie, 10 out of 10.
I've heard it and I would agree. That was an enjoyable episode compared to this film.
Well, thank you. It was completely improvised, minus just the parts of the legend that we came across, but it was a lot of fun to do. So
unlike watching this movie,
like watching this.
We should probably get into the plot. And since David, you made us watch this crap, maybe you should have to suffer through telling us what you saw.
Sure, this was my pick. I was curious what this was, and this cat has been killed by that curiosity. So there is a mother who is a social worker, and the movie starts out in Mexico in, what was it, the 17th or 18th century, something like that. And it's just a couple of kids and a husband and wife.
1673.
Thank you. Yeah, so 17th century, and this family is in a field. The mother is given a locket from one of the kids, and then they all decide to play Ring Around the Hide and Seek, Rosie, or something. It was so weird how they did this, but suddenly everybody's gone except for one kid, and then he, starts traipsing through the forest being like, "Mama!" like trying to find everybody. And anyways, he finds the mother who is drowning the other kid, and then she runs after him and grabs him, and then we cut to title, and then suddenly we're in 1973.
But wait a minute, that entire scene takes place at like high noon.
Yeah,
I think it's important to point that out because this is supposed to be a horror film, and it's sunny as can be. I mean, there's nothing spooky about what we see other than the woman drowning her kid. But I mean, these days, does anything surprise anyone? Silent giggles. No one wants to agree with me that the world's on fire.
I'm face palming because there's so many missed opportunities. We'll get to it, but anyways, 1973, which is such an arbitrary. Why? Just they wanted around 300.
Oh no! I might have. Well, yeah, I mean the round 300. But I discovered something about this movie as I was watching it that I don't know if you guys picked up on. This is part of shared universe.
Yeah, it connects to others.
Yes, it does, and it is.
Okay.
And okay, so I was watching it when she's talking to the priest, and the priest is having flashbacks, something, and you see the.
It's not subtle.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh wait, that's the doll from Annabelle, isn't it? I don't really watch these things.
Okay.
And so this is connected to the Conjuring universe because everything has to be, all together.
I think that's cool.
So
I'm cool with that.
The Conjuring universe includes the Conjuring movies, the Annabelle movies, The Nun, and this. And this takes place in 73, so it takes place after Annabelle comes home, but before The Conjuring 2. For, everyone at home keeping track on their timeline.
The movie universe of ghostly women behaving badly.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So 73, which that's the only reason it was set in 73. If you had told me this was 2020, I would have said sure, except for that one old police car that they show. Everything else looked 2020 to me. But anyways, the main character in this is a mother of two, a single mother. A husband has passed away.
Do we find out why?
I don't think they did they?
No, I was like, did I miss it?
Yeah. I mean, I like it when they don't overtly explain everything, although they do that later, which I'll bring up. But
they allude to the fact that he died on the job. He's a police officer, and he died in the line of duty somehow, but I don't think they actually said how.
Yeah.
Maybe that was connected with Annabelle.
Oh.
Oh, boy. The synchronicities. I got it in. I got it in early this time.
Yeah, you did it.
Proud of you.
Punch that card. One more and you get like a free
free sub.
Jamba Juice.
A free synchronicity.
Oh boy, that's just what I need.
So this woman's a social worker, and she goes to the house of another woman who has two children. She's got the children locked in a closet, right? And she's screaming at the social worker, the main character. What is her name?
Anna.
Anne.
The main character is Anna.
So Anna goes and gets these kids out of the closet while their mother's screaming, "Don't open it. They're in there for protection." And lo and behold, she opens the closet, and La Llorona, which is the ghost of this woman who drowned these children, La Llorona, the weeping woman. She is able to find these kids. They end up dead. And the mother blames Anna, the main character, for their deaths, which, you know what? She's right. But
true story.
But then Llorona starts coming for Anna's kids. She's got two young children, a boy and a girl, and then the rest of the movie is basically the kids keep experiencing things with La Llorona. They get burned on the arm when she grabs them, which kind of marks them for her. And then Anna starts seeing La Llorona as well. She can finally sees when she kind of connects the dots and figures out that this isn't just the mother wasn't abusing those kids. She was actually protecting them from this ghost. And so the rest of the movie is kind of a slow burn of her trying to protect the kids from La Llorona while leaving them alone I don't know how many times. And she enlists the help of an ex-priest. She goes to a priest. The priest sends her to this guy who's an ex-priest, but he is a kind of a
wild card
folklorist shaman. Yeah, kind of practicing that magic.
His introduction was really weird because he just started peeing right in front of her. And we just didn't understand what was going on. What's this guy doing? That's a reference to last night. Whatever. It's been a long day, guys. These are the jokes. Take them or leave them.
A lot of water themes we've been going with recently.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, so La Llorona just is seeking to drown these children. And basically it ends with them fighting La Llorona, and they end up in the woman Anna's attic. And they, spoiler, of course, this is a late spoiler, but yeah, they beat her. And,
no way.
Stab her like a vampire. That's how they beat this ghost, who, for half the movie, is not seen. You just see them grab their throat or be dragged down the hall by, something invisible.
Or fly out of the door.
Oh my gosh, we can talk about that. That kid getting launched out that door? That was awesome. That kid flew out that door. Anyway.
Oh, it's the ice cream truck. Boom.
She gets social workers called on her at one point because, people think she's abusing her own kids when it's actually Llorona.
Her office rival social worker, too.
Yeah, it's not a conflict of interest. I mean, even back in 1973, wouldn't you send somebody from like a neighboring county or something to check her out?
There were no laws. It was the Wild West in 73. So that's basic fundamental stuff. Now let's talk about kids getting thrown out of the houses. Oh, man.
Launched. Like catapulted. Yeah, so this movie was
awful.
Like
terrible.
Awful. I was sitting here watching it and I'm like, this is like not even like I'm not even vaguely scared. Also, I kind of upset they vaguely stole from Evil Dead at one point, where it's like the zoom in on the.
They did.
Yeah, I'm like, how dare you steal from a good movie?
So they're trying to shut the door. The door flies open, with a big gust of wind, and then all of a sudden, you are the perspective of La Llorona flying towards the porch.
Yep.
And the camera's like shaking and zooming, and then she shuts the door right in the face.
I've seen it before and done better.
Total Evil Dead. I thought the same thing.
Yes, and and by the way, of course they have a pool out back too. I don't know if that was in the beginning of the movie because I know that the one daughter's outside at the beginning, but then when I saw it later, I'm like, oh, this is all going to end in that pool.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And also, what was up with that bathtub? I mean, am I just weird and don't have a bathtub just randomly, like vaguely in the middle of like a what was that? Like a oh, it's like a cutout. There's a certain like a bay window, but like a bay like cut out of the house.
Well, I don't know if you've ever been to L.A., Justin, but all the houses are huge and lavish and cheap, and there's plenty of place to live, and you have like your own bedroom and stuff. I lived in a house with 3 dudes for like 8 years and still paid like $1,200 a month rent. It just kind of gives you an indication of even in 1973, it was probably a tall order.
So wait, did you have a giant bathtub though?
Yeah,
it's like a clawfoot bathtub.
Yeah, it's
sitting. But the thing I loved about it was there's so much room around it. So one of my apartments in Chicago when I first moved here had a clawfoot tub. There was no room to maneuver around it, but it was there. So yeah,
the bathroom of this movie is bigger than my house, literally.
It kind of looked like the one from Shape of Water to be.
It did a little bit, yeah. There was some weird stuff going on in the background. I don't know what was happening.
Same set.
So what was you guys' worst part? I mean, that's what I want to get to. Like, what was the part that you hated the most? And you can't say the whole thing. I'll start. Actually, I already have something.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got real mad in about, 20 seconds into the movie. Well, no, as soon as the actual movie, the flashback, once that was over, we got into the actual story, I was pretty mad pretty fast. Because, this is a film for Latino people. It really is. There's no question about that. This is their legend, blah, blah, blah. So why? I love Linda. How do you say her name? Cardinelli, I think. I love her. She's awesome. Grandma's Boy was amazing. Scooby Doo. Why did they cast a white woman as the lead in a Latino legend movie? I don't understand why they made that decision. And it's not like she's a huge draw or anything like that. If they had Jennifer Garner or something like that, I'm like, okay, I get it. She's a box office draw. But no offense to Linda I can't say her name, Cardinelli. Like I said, I love her, but I don't understand the decision there.
I don't get it either.
I mean, it's
a writing choice, I think.
You think it's writing? You don't think it's just Hollywood?
Well, no,
I mean, everybody else in this film is Latino, it seems like.
Well, no, I don't know who's to blame or whose decision it was. I don't know if blame's the right word, but yeah, I think it was developed in the script. I don't think it was something that they're like, oh, we have to have a white woman in this. I don't think that was a thought they had, but especially with, current times and stuff going on, like you would think they would be a little more aware of that. And they just weren't. So maybe I'm making something up. I have no idea, but it was something I definitely noticed. And I thought, man, if I was Latino and this was my legend, I'd be a little bit mad about this, I think.
Well, let me throw this out there from the writing angle of it. If you had somebody that was of Latino descent, they would know about this story.
I'm aware, yeah.
So having somebody who is not has them completely ignorant of it. So
that's lazy
I guess
writing is what that is.
Yes, you are correct and everything, but I just was thinking, I'm like, that could probably be the reason, is because they wanted to have it be someone who wouldn't be aware of it. But I think I'm thinking too much into this movie, because I don't even think they thought that far ahead.
Probably not.
I mean, there's this thing called acting that some people do, and that they get paid a lot of money for it. It's not the writer's job to protect them from knowing or not knowing. People can act.
True.
I wanted to say, this woman, she's Hawkeye's wife in Avengers.
Oh.
If it didn't ring a bell for me, the ones you had said earlier, Derek, so I just wanted to throw that out there.
Oh.
I appreciate the Grandma's Boy reference. It took me a minute, but I got there.
Yeah, that's an old Adam Sandler produced film from 15 years ago or so. It was never mind. It's completely
Derek,
out of left field.
I think it's actually on HBO.
Is it really?
Take the time to look for that movie instead of watching this movie.
I would agree 100%. Grandma's Boy is ridiculous, but it's so much better than this film. And that's something that I'm disappointed by in a whole, as a whole, I guess. Horror films at all in the last 10 years, 15 years, have just been mostly garbage. Mm-hmm. And I can say that because I've worked on a few of them. They're terrible. The writing is super lazy, super cliche, very predictable. This was 100% predictable. Once they introduced the characters, I knew exactly what was going to happen in this film. There was no question where the story was going to go. It's just sad. But we have people like Jordan Peele that's coming out with some, high concept stuff. So there is some light at the end of the tunnel, but there's just so much garbage I'm angry today, guys. Sorry.
Eric needs a Snickers.
I need a Snickers. I need a beer.
I mean, I'm not gonna disagree with you on it. It was very predictable the entire time. I mean, I'm not a big horror movie fan at all. So I mean, my horror movie experience goes from Evil Dead to Evil Dead 2 to I'm gonna say Army of Darkness, but I feel like that's more of a comedy, and the Alien movies, if you even can call those horror movies. So that's my extent of like what I like. Outside of that, I'm just like and this was really up the thing, because I was like, okay, is she physical? Is she intangible? Like, I don't get it. Are you guys trying to have your cake and eat it too? Because sometimes she has to physically put her hands on someone. Sometimes she launches kids out of a door.
The rules were ridiculous.
Give me some rules. Give me at least a few rules. Just
explain
one rule,
to me
maybe.
How those kids were safe in the closet. That ghost or whatever she is seemed to be able to go wherever, whenever she wants. But she can't get to this closet for some reason, because there's a padlock on it, I suppose. I don't...
Well, there were either incantations or runes, or even the stuff that maybe the ex-priest
brings
out there.
The seeds.
The beans?
The seeds.
Oh,
the
seeds.
Yeah.
I thought they
the
said
tree
beans.
seeds.
Oh, I thought it was beans. I lost interest by that point.
I just decided to watch
I was like,
my own
Sarah,
movie.
what's that on the floor? Beans? Oh, okay. That's pretty much how that went down.
Some kind of dirt. Who cares?
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah, no, there were there were rules that she had to play by, and I'm just guessing that woman knew them, and that's how she kept the kids safe in that closet. So
It would have been nice if they shared those rules with us at some point.
well, I don't blame them for that, because, you have to have the old ex-priest get in there and explain everything to... that is one thing where I always find it hilarious in movies when someone seeks out an expert and then they start receiving help from the expert and then they start questioning what the expert's doing. They immediately did that to this guy, and I think it was to serve exposition, right?
Oh, yeah,
It was to explain to
100%.
the audience, because they brought him home and he takes out some eggs. By the way, I don't know the guy's name, so we're just going to start calling him Padre de los Huevos, because that's all he was about was eggs. And anyways,
Raphael?
Raphael, but
de los Huevos. De los Huevos. No.
Okay, got it.
Donatello.
Huevos and seeds. So he brings out these eggs and they're like, "What are you gonna do? Just rub eggs? What's that gonna do? I thought and it's like, let him do his job."
Give him 10 seconds to set up here. He's still putting his eggs out.
I was like, oh yeah, they've got to tell the audience what's going on, because people can't just watch it. So that's a big pet peeve of mine in these movies too.
I mean, there were entire characters that were there only to deliver exposition. Like the older priest, there was no purpose for him other than to deliver vital information. It's so lazy.
And to connect it to Annabelle. You gotta have that connection. Gotta have that through line of
connected. I'm using huge air quotes here. Connected. He
Whoa,
carried her out of the
air
building. Oh man, I'm crabby.
Going back to what you were saying, Derek, one of the biggest disappointments was that they didn't really show the story of La Llorona, which is it differs, in some accounts, but the most popular one, I think, is that this woman was very arrogant and narcissistic. She was very pretty and she knew it. Then, like, some handsome ranchero comes along one day, wins her heart. They have a couple kids, but then he's basically her in male form, and he goes off and kind of ignores her, flirts with other women and things like that, and so she gets mad and drowns their kids. And then she regrets it, and that's why she drowns herself, and that's why she's the weeping woman and starts looking after for other kids. Are you my children?
And here's the problem. I'm going to just jump in real quick. Here's the problem with that. That's the entire story. So they're trying to build something else off of that as the entire story, and it just didn't work, in my opinion.
They didn't even try.
No, they didn't try. They just took a generic story and let's throw La Llorona on this story. It's essentially what it seemed like. At one point, I thought I was watching The Ring.
Yep.
They really stole from a lot of other horror films. Yeah, I just have nothing good to say about this movie. Which is really disappointing, because when I first turned it on, for some reason my HBO app had it at 100% Rotten Tomatoes. And I got excited. I'm like, well, maybe this is a gem. I heard about the movie, but I don't have time to watch a lot of movies. So I saw that 100%. And I even told Sarah, she was watching it with me. I said, this is 100%. And we're like 10 minutes in, and she looked at me and she's like, I don't know. You sure this is 100%?
Are you sure it wasn't loading and it said it was at 100%?
I even stopped it to go back to prove to her. It did say 100%, but man, it was not correct.
And it must have been like they got that one review in and then locked it down.
Yeah, pretty much. By the director sent his review in, and that was, they shut it off there. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to find something positive from this, and I'm struggling. I love Linda Cardinelli. I didn't even say it right that time. I love her. Outside of that, this was hot garbage.
Like, it wasn't even I don't know, because there's like, it didn't even, I think, breach into the funny, like, it's so bad it's funny.
Yeah,
because it was like they're actually
like
trying with this, and it's like that. And then the humor that was in there was like the the Michelangelo guy was sitting there and he's like, ta-da, after like the eggs exploded. And
De los huevos.
yes, I'm gonna keep using different Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle names. I'm gonna steal from Derek on that one, but yeah. So I mean, his character was like a nice little comic relief, quote unquote, at the end, or the serious. I don't, because that was the thing. And then like there's the attempted murder on him by the mom of the first set of kids. Like that just gets breezed over. He gets patched up, and I guess the cops then get called. She just kind of walks out of there and leaves. And by the way, she was running around barefoot. Because there's that whole switcheroo thing where you think it's La Llorona coming into the house, and it's actually her during that one scene.
Who's her?
The mother. No. The mother from the
Patricia.
Yes, the two
The
kids.
kids that died. Yeah.
Yeah, her name was Patricia.
Yes, there was a whole switcheroo with you think it's her and then it's not.
Yeah. She was coming for revenge herself because she blamed Anna's character for the death of her children, which she was correct.
Kind of, yeah.
And
Yeah.
and she went crazy and kind of made a deal with La Llorona, or tried to. She was wanting to exchange Anna's children to get her own back, which, would never have worked anyway.
We don't know. We weren't told the rules, so maybe that is in the rule book.
It might have worked.
True.
We have no idea.
There's an alternate ending of the movie where she's walking away with her kids.
I wish I watched that movie because it would have been better than what we did see.
But then she has a change of heart at the end and decides to help Anna's character.
After shooting Leonardo.
After shooting De Los Huevos.
Leonardo. Splinter got shot. My biggest complaint, I guess, the best broad stroke complaint about this film is it's cookie cutter. There's nothing new about this whatsoever other than, well, it's not even the mention of La Llorona, because I almost watched the wrong movie called The Haunting of La Llorona on Prime.
Oh.
And I wished I had seen that. It only had 2 stars, but I'm sure it would have been more entertaining than this. But I don't. It was just, there was nothing special about it. The atmosphere, the feeling you get from the film is bland. They went to a prop house and bought everything they could from the 70s, set up a house, and that was literally all they did. I don't know. I just wanted it to be more cultural, I think. Something like that. It's a Latino legend, and it was just,
I agree with you on that. I feel
cookie
like
cutter white bread. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I feel like we got robbed of probably a better movie. I mean, you know what? I'm kind of interested in this other La Llorona movie because I'm like, I feel like they basically took what well, actually, I'm gonna just leave with what you said, Derek, because you actually said it perfectly. They just, it was cookie cutter. You could have just changed out who the villain was in this, and it would have made no difference. It could have just been the haunting of Water Street
Conjuring
or something. Yeah, or just the Conjuring Part 4. I think would have been up to.
Yeah.
I've never seen any of those movies, but apparently I've seen something connected to it now. So, oh no, this is how they rope you in.
Yeah. No, it's not. Derek said it too. Like, it was so predictable because they set up those shots where they're staring off, into the darkness or up the stairs or whatever, and then there's a classic jump scare of like from the side. And after like the 5th time that they did that, literally looking straight in front of them, waiting for her, and then she's behind them, I'm like, these people are either idiots or I am for watching this and expecting them to realize she is not in front of them.
Did you make it all the way to the credits at the end?
Sure.
Wait, there's something after the credits?
Then you're the idiot.
I'm the idiot.
Oh, I thought there was something after the credits where it like shows her like
I don't know,
picking up
some crying,
or shows the Annabelle doll like sitting out in the back, like just like
smoking
head spinning or something. Yeah.
This movie sucks.
Hi, folks. Annabelle here. La Llorona's a joke, but child abuse is not.
So here's
just a long
McGruff, the crime dog over there.
Annabelle smokes a lot. Give her a break.
Oh man,
she's got long hours.
Hey,
what does she have
after
to like
watching
5 or
this
6
film,
movies?
I don't blame her at all. I have a smoking problem too. lived in that universe.
I've got a question because I wonder, you're about to talk the money that went into this film. A lot of that budget probably had to go into all the broken mirrors and glass. Like, I'm like, why does stuff keep shattering? I don't get it.
Yeah, it was
it's like
pretty inconsistent. With
every time like someone saw her in like a mirror or something, it just cracks, and I'm like,
I kind of like that actually.
But it was inconsistent though, because it happened like
it was inconsistent. Yeah,
it was a cool shot though. I will give you that. To quickly explain what's going on, I guess at some point, again, I was zoning out, but at some point, La Llorona turned back into her normal human self, the beautiful woman, and she was kind of turning good, I guess, breaking good, and then she looks over and sees herself in the mirror, and the mirror cracks, and she's like, and like turns into Morticia Addams and like runs
and at
away.
At that point, I'm on her team. I'm like, you know what? You're right.
I was just
like catfished her.
I was just waiting for the speech of, I've done some bad things to kids, but now I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna save children, I'm gonna be a hero, and oh my gosh, is that my face?
Okay, I can't hold it anymore. Did she or did she not just look like an early 90s WCW wrestler in this thing?
Yes.
100%.
The makeup, they could have made her so cool, but they didn't?
No, it looked like practical makeup, which was not the right choice, I guess, in this situation. Usually I would say the opposite, but it looked like somebody's Halloween costume is honestly what it looked like.
I think somebody could do a better job, too.
Somebody had some Ben Nye makeup from CVS, and they're like, oh, we can take care of this. They got that little plastic Q-tip thing with the sponge on the end that falls off after the first
application. Yeah.
Yep, that's the one. And
poured some Karo syrup down her cheeks, and then just let it dry, I guess.
Perfect.
Oh, it's awful. Okay, so let's talk money. They spend $9 million on this, which I'm not surprised. That sounds about right.
All on the makeup.
All on the makeup and mirrors.
And
1970s furniture. And so it made, domestically, almost $55 million.
Gross.
Cool.
It opened at $26 million.
Wow. That's why these make money. They're so low
that's
budget.
why they keep making them.
Well, worldwide, 123 million.
Boy, oh boy.
Now, what I think, this is how my movie brain's working, and I hate to bring this up, but this is usually how it worked when I worked in the industry. They went by demographics. So obviously, this is, like I said 5 different times now, this is a Latino-themed film. So they're probably banking on heavy, viewership from Latinos, not only in the U.S., but from, Mexico and South America, stuff like that, because it's their legend. It's something they're familiar with. So these guys knew exactly what they were doing. Now, what I feel terrible about is all those people went to see this a movie that they finally get made, a movie about their childhood monster, and it's god-awful. They had their one opportunity, and they produced crap as a result. So I'm just complaining a lot, I feel like, but I really didn't like this movie.
We're due for it.
I'm surprised this movie was rated R.
Yeah, I don't understand why that was.
Maybe
violence against children,
terror?
maybe?
Violence and terror.
Yeah.
I'm
MPAA is a strange animal.
Because I'm like, I don't remember anything. I mean, yes, the child stuff, but I don't remember anything really like that was like, there wasn't a lot of cussing that I could point out. There wasn't a lot of like blood and stuff. So I'm like, did they just give it an R rating to like up its fear? Because my oldest daughter was going to watch this with me, but she had some, she's finishing up a lot of her like exams
Shift
and
at
stuff.
Walmart.
No. Finish up a lot of her exams for her school stuff right now, so online and everything. So she's like, I'm kind of busy, but she wanted to watch it with me, and I'm sure that she would have been like, "Oh my gosh, this was so scary and good." And I would have been like, Did we watch the same thing?"
Wait, how old is your daughter?
My oldest one's 17.
Oh, okay. I was
stepdaughter.
I didn't know how old she was. I was picturing maybe like 10 or something. That's why I made the Walmart joke. But
that makes me wonder, like, if talking about demographics, it seems like this movie would be kind of right up the alley for that
younger audience,
10 to 13-year-old range, maybe.
My first scary movie.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they rated it R, so they can't even watch it. So they're missing out on that demographic if that's who they were targeting.
Hmm.
And the way the MPAA works is once you have a cut of the film that you think is going to be your final, you submit it. It's a whole process, and usually it costs a lot of money. I can't remember what exactly the fee was. It was like $6 or $7 grand, something like that, for the films that we worked on. It's based on the budget. It's a scale based on the budget. So you submit it, and then they schedule a viewing. So one of the main guys there at the MPAA will actually view it and then call back in and say, okay, here's your rating. You got violence, you got this, you got this, you got this, you got an R. So if we made a film that we wanted to be PG-13 and we got an R, then that means we have to go back to the editing room and start cutting stuff out that they said was flagged. So violence, F-bombs, stuff like that. And you whittle it down to that PG-13. You meet your mark, and then you reach that demographic. But if that's what they were doing here, they left it at the R, and they didn't reach that demographic at all. So other than the Latino, I don't know what this was for, to be honest with you.
So looking over the rating, it says violence and gore moderate, but it says severe, the fright and intense scenes.
Wrong.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, it's jump scares. you can have jump scare. I mean, I don't know. Maybe
They're not even good jump scares.
And there's so few
the
of them.
drowning the kid. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, maybe the drowning, but like
I'm
it
going with
it was so slow.
yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah. Oh,
I know you
incredibly.
want some build in some of those horror movies, but this was just like constant laying a foundation. And then all of a sudden at the end you're fighting in a swimming pool and then in the attic, and that's it.
And you've lost interest completely.
Sure.
Yeah.
I liked the addition of De Los Huevos in there because they showed a lot of kind of folksy magic, that may have some cultural roots. I don't know for sure if that kind of stuff, is practiced, but compare it to like sprinkling of salt to keep things at bay, to keep demons and things at bay. And then he says the seeds of this tree that
Witnessed her crime.
right, and then therefore they have power over her. It can keep her from crossing over them if you make a line of them. And so like, that kind of stuff was fun, although it got real hokey when one kid's in the pool getting drowned by Llorona. Anna jumps in to save him. She's getting attacked. It's in the dark. And then the priest is like, I love this, like a couple times he kind of like stares at the situation, lets him like get good and drowned a little bit. And then he's like, I better do something. And then he grabs a handful of salt or garlic powder or something and like sticks it in the pool, says a prayer, and then
Holy water.
they're saved.
It was shock. I think it was pool shock.
That's what it was, just chlorine.
It was
He
chlorine,
just puts
man.
chlorine in the pool. La Llorona is algae.
Exactly.
And then he has the line, they're like, what did you put in that pool? And he's like, your pool is full of holy water now. Full of holy water. Not just I bless the water in the pool.
Yeah.
No, it's full of holy water now.
Once again, I think a line that would have done better was "I bless the pool," but no, it's now full of holy water. I just want the scene after that where she's like, "Do you know how much chlorine I'm gonna have to buy now to rechlorinate this?"
Ugh.
But I like the little folksy magic of it. That is one thing I did like. I mean, maybe I like that in all the kind of horror tropes like that. I love the kid getting jerked out of the house. That was just
You
unexpected.
really like that.
So they make a line of the seeds in front of the door so Llorona can't get in. And of course, the kid's Annabelle doll is outside the door, and she has to be a kid and grab the doll. And when she gets it, she turns around and runs back inside while the doll sweeps some of the seeds away and breaks that line, that barrier. And then all of a sudden, she's just whoom, and she is jerked back through that door invisibly. Like, how do you even imagine? It's like she turned into a sonic boom and just got sent through the door. It was awesome.
Okay. I can't think I got an example, and I'm not a fan of Tom Brady, but I'm going to use this as an example. So he drop backs in the pocket, has the girl, and just throws it into the end zone.
Launches. I mean, the speed of it is what just impressed me so much, because they get jerked around the whole movie. But when she goes out that door, man, she flies. Oh, I love that part.
David loves when kids get hurt. He's just twirling his mustache
He
in the
bounced
dark,
back.
watching it,
Oh,
drinking a
man.
glass of warm milk or something creepy and weird.
That
Oh,
movie
boy.
was awful, but man, a kid got chucked out the door. And that's our
Andy, you
takeaway
gotta
today.
come see this. You gotta come see this kid.
Yeah.
Watch this kid
Look at
go.
the speed. It's impressive.
The kid's still flying somewhere.
I
Well,
think if
the
she went out
director
there,
of this film, what's his name? Michael Chavez. I guess he's going to direct. It's in post-production. He's already shot it. The Conjuring: The Devil Made Me Do It. So
that one's not out yet.
we get to enjoy yet another film. And after looking at his IMDb page, I can see he was like a short film, music video type guy. So it's a lot of fast pace. It's a huge adjustment for him. So, I don't want to crap on him too much. It's definitely a tall order. And I
Wait, who wrote this?
I
Let's see
didn't
what else they
recognize
did.
the names. If you bear with me, I can get it up here.
The only other movie that the one wrote was a movie called 5 Feet Apart, which came out the same year, not dealing with the current situation we are all in.
Mickey Daughtry and Tobias Iconis, I think is how you would say that.
Let's see what Iconis has done. I'm guessing just, oh, he did 5 Feet Apart as well. Okay. Well, that was a bunt.
Well, hey, it made a ton of money,
Some...
so who are we to judge?
Yeah, right. What do we know?
I have I don't want to say I have a huge Latino audience, but I have a pretty big Latino audience. They submit stories all the time. I love all that stuff. So I'd be really curious to hear what they thought of this. It's their like I said 87 times, it's their legend. Is this ruined, or is this kind of like what they were expecting? Maybe I'm way off. I have no idea. Like, I grew up in Ohio. I'm as far removed from this as possible, but I guess I live here now, and this is sort of the region where this is reported from. But I mean, the film takes place in LA, and I'm an hour and a few minutes away from LA. But
Maybe the producers or the writers or whatever, maybe they didn't have the money to make it, but I would like to see a period piece of this where the first act is her story and the second act is not very long after that, same region, and then they're dealing with kind of the same thing. Like, why does it have to be modern, And then the third act is they deal with it and move on or whatever, or maybe it sets it up for a more modern setting. But I think it would have been better if it were a period piece that was set in Mexico. It was all culture, all Latino culture, and everything drew from that story instead of just kind of like the story is tacked on.
yeah,
And this is just another nun just in somebody's attic.
again,
Just
as usual.
as scary as it is.
When you go up in the attic and there's just nuns everywhere.
Or if it's that universe, or another Conjuring in the attic, or another Annabelle, or whatever. He was saying the attic, and there was a lot of water involved. But
The reality of that situation is that, let me ask you a question. Name a successful period horror film.
would you say Crimson Peak was successful?
I've never seen it.
That's
was that from like the early 80s?
Guillermo del Toro. No, that was
is it?
just a few years back. Yeah,
Oh, I'm not familiar
the
with that one.
Victorian kind of.
It has Loki in it.
Yeah, it does. It does. The Watchers, is that the Nicole Kidman one? What is that one?
Watchers.
Shoot, no, not the Watchers. What is the
Oh, the
Others?
The others.
The
Yeah.
Others. That one's kind of a period piece.
But was it successful? Just because it's a
I
good
thought it was-
movie doesn't mean it's successful.
well,
I
let's see, then
I mean lucrative. I'll use the word lucrative instead of successful.
Not to give David any more ideas of upcoming topics, but didn't they do it on the Winchester Mystery House?
Yeah, Helen Mirren.
yeah, well, that was awful.
Yeah.
Do not pick that one
was
next.
awful. Yeah, same
I'm
thing.
checking on the others to see what kind of money that film made. Yeah, it was a huge hit, $209 million, and it had a $17
More than
million
this.
budget.
Which one was that?
The Others from 2001, Nicole Kidman, and I'm pretty sure Nicole Kidman got a good chunk of that budget. So you would
That
think
one was pretty good, though.
it was a really really well done film, suspenseful. Like, it had a twist at the end. I won't give it away
Yeah.
if anybody hasn't seen it. It's just the way you do a horror film. I feel, especially like a period horror film, which are really difficult to do because you have to sell the period and then you also have to sell the horror, and that's difficult. It's really difficult. That's why the period action pieces are better, or sorry, the period action movies are better received because it's easy just to throw stunts and stuff out there, but to actually have the atmosphere, to turn that atmosphere into something spooky, that's a difficult thing to do.
So what if you get something that combines the two of those, combines the horror and the action? Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Another
super lucrative,
awful movie.
Anyways,
I was
next
so
week.
excited for that one too.
I think I went to the theater and saw that one, unfortunately.
I think I own it.
I might have too. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm probably going to make a lot of people mad, but horror films are terrible anymore.
We need some good ones.
They're just not. They're not good.
I agree with you. That's but you said it. Like Jordan Peele's coming out with some very good stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's just that the money that they make off these, if they did it for $9 million and they made 20-some million that first weekend or whatever it was, that's why we're getting the crappy cookie cutters, you know?
But that's a rare thing, actually. That doesn't happen very often, and it's sort of. You kind of want to blame Jason Blum for this.
Oh.
It's kind of their model, Blumhouse's model, where they just do like all these $2-3 million movies and see what sticks. You end up with what was the Purge? You end up with the Purge, or You're Next, I think was his as well. There's just a few hits, but for every one of those, there's like 10 movies that you've never heard of that were just absolute garbage that they threw $2 or $3 million at.
Oh, wait. Blumhouse did one I saw like 2 years ago. It was the one where it was like
The elevator thing?
the guy has like implants or something in him. Upgrade, I think it was called.
I'm not sure.
You just proved my point.
Yeah, they have done. I remember seeing stuff for the one where they were in the elevator.
Oh, Devil.
Devil? Evil? Oh, it's Devil. Yeah, it is. That was M.
Is
Night
that the-
Shyamalan, I believe.
No, this one is this one's like Valentine's Day or something weird. It was like a guy who's stalking a girl and then he makes the elevator stop and while she's in it.
Oh, this is sounding real familiar.
There's listeners out there losing their mind. Like,
Oh,
you
yeah,
idiot,
yeah.
it's this.
We're old. Send us cookies.
Yeah,
Is
I don't know
it
what that is.
Luigi? I mean, Ouija, Origin of Evil?
It is not.
Okay, well, I tried.
But they're taking fun ideas and I think they're fumbling them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're just lazy with it.
Maybe, or maybe they're just not close enough to the subject matter to make it that good. I feel like, the three of us could probably take one of these legends, Llorona, just a Ouija board, and the stuff that's associated with that or whatever, shadow people maybe. I bet we could write a hell of a script for it. Now, whether that script makes it from A to Z, that's the problem.
Get a Stecco type to be the lead. Yeah, we got this.
Or a Toby type, maybe.
Ugh.
We haven't made fun of Toby yet this episode.
Oh, then there.
Check that off.
Check the
list.
box. All right, I think we got everything in now.
Have lots of synchronicity in it, and
Yeah.
then we'll be.
Actually, I got
Brilliant.
one more thing I want to talk about real quick. 'Cause this dawned on me, and I meant to bring it up earlier. Did anyone else find it weird she was sitting there looking at the crime scene photos of the kids while she was sitting in bed?
That's the least. That's the least thing
Yeah,
I had
that
to
was-
worry about.
No, because
I thought she was going to see Llorona in one of the pictures.
I thought that
was waiting
too,
for
because
that.
she was like looking at baby photos, and I was like, oh, she's looking at
Yeah.
baby photos. Crime scene photos? I'm like, okay, weird.
The point of that was that the marks that La Llorona left on their wrists when she grabbed the kids were the same ones that showed up on her kids,
And on
and
her.
that's when she put that together. And on her, yeah.
That's how you know you're screwed. Yeah.
But the other thing about her in this and the writing of it, maybe, that I didn't find really believable, shock of shocks,
No.
is how often she'd leave them alone after all this had happened. After they were getting sucked out of windows and terrorized in the car. Also, the kids never told her and caused a lot of problems until it was like, in the middle of it. And then she just starts leaving them alone, and let the kid take a bath by herself.
Well, she couldn't bathe herself, the day before, but this day, after she learns of La Llorona and knows that she's after her kid, she's like, you're fine. You could probably handle it this day on your own. And of course, she couldn't. She almost got killed in the bathtub.
Yeah, those kids were they were not supervised. Social services should have come and talked to her.
Also, very aerodynamic, though. Very aerodynamic children.
Totally. We're showing like fold up.
I guess my closing argument here, my biggest complaint that I think took the most away from the film, other than it was bad, lazy writing, everything else I've said, the biggest complaint I have left, I'll rephrase it. They showed La Llorona way too much. Early on, very beginning, like she was a main character in this thing. If you think of, Jaws is the classic example where they didn't show the shark till the end, so your imagination fills in the blanks, and it's 10 times scarier. They didn't do that. They fed you the Halloween makeup La Llorona and said, oh, here, be afraid of this. We're going to show it to you every 20 seconds. She's going to pop out of the shadows every 20 seconds. And like you said, David, after the first couple times, it lost the effect. It didn't work anymore.
Yeah.
So that made me mad.
They showed her way too often, and then they also didn't show her enough because there were so many scenes of this invisible force that was acting on so much stuff. After you've seen her so much, why do you need this invisible trope going on? Either keep that until you're ready to reveal her, or don't do it. Just show her.
Yeah. But if she's not invisible, then it wouldn't look awesome when she kicked that little girl.
My God, you're right there.
That's it right there. Because if you just see
on.
the ghost kicking her, I'm like, oh, well, that's
or grabbing her and like carrying her out the door or something.
That was a punt for sure. Or a field goal, even, or a kickoff. That was she got a running start. That was like Charlie Brown. Only she didn't pull the ball out.
You forgot to pull the kid out.
She kicked that kid so far.
It was so fast, you guys. It was so fast.
I need to find.
And that scene dragged on forever. I'm like, get the doll or die already. Pick one of the two and let's move on. I literally have things to do today. We got to move on.
There was so much.
We know what's gonna happen.
There's so much build up to it because there was her reaching out and then she kind of stumbled and you're like, oh, she's gonna break it then. No. And then like the wind chime started going, like something's going on, and it's like, oh my gosh, just get it or die, please. One of the two.
No parent anywhere around. I realize she only has one at this point, but still, for some reason, she's in the other room sewing or doing whatever.
No, they were at the back door, like screaming at the back door because it was moving or something. And apparently, I guess this spirit can only be around one door at a time. Once again, I don't know the rules.
They were cooking eggs, probably.
Well, I might sound a bit calloused with this comment, but the way that those kids behaved, they deserve to die.
Oh, dang.
They didn't tell her mom what was going on. There was so many things. Like the kids out dicking around in the woods. Like 2 little kids just got drowned, or I guess they were drowned. They didn't find out they were murdered right away, but murdered by a ghost, I guess. I'm trying to make sense of this, and it's just I'm trying to apply logic to something that just really isn't logical.
It sounds like La Llorona's literally drowning you right now in that explanation.
Yes, I'm gonna just abandon ship before something bad happens.
I'd love to see the police report on that one. Murdered by ghost. Yep, case closed.
I wonder if that's ever happened before.
That actually, there was a case. Was it the Greenbrier ghost that someone successfully argued that a ghost was involved and won their lawsuit?
That would be a better movie than this.
I don't remember that. Greenbrier Ghost sounds familiar.
You explaining
that was what it was.
Is a better movie than this.
Yeah, 100% agree. We should write it and just make it.
We should do our own production,
and then
in all the spare time that we have.
Oh, yeah.
And then make the movies we want to make. And then have some other jackasses make fun of us.
Exactly.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Anyways, Justin, final thoughts?
This was waste of my time. I don't want to be that harsh. I mean, it was fun to talk with you guys about it, but I mean, besides that, I regret a lot of things that led me to have to watch this. Is it the worst thing we've ever done on this show?
No. Bigfoot
No.
Hitler movie
Aw,
was way worse than
no.
this one.
That had
I don't know about that.
that was at least vaguely a think piece. This is very like
I guess that's true. I get.
the think piece on this is how'd this get made? Why am I still watching it?
It made so much money, you guys.
All the money. You know what? That's actually what the thing is. We're just making fun of this because we want all that money.
Derek, what are your thoughts?
My biggest thought is, okay, let me circle around and try this. Growing up, and I know, David, you know this, growing up, my local story, like, equivalent to this was the Taily Po. Or we called it Taily Poo because I couldn't read. And and it sounded scary in my Taily Poo. Sounds scarier than Taily Po, in my opinion. But anyway, so if somebody made a movie about Taily Poo, whatever, and it was awful, I would be so mad. So I feel terrible for anybody that grew up with this legend and then they had to watch this and be like, this is what I was delivered. This is garbage. So that's my final thought is, if you watch this and this was your childhood story and this was ruined, I'm sorry. That sucks.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know I've seen worse. I can't think of them right now. But it was a disappointment from knowing the legend of it and the lore that's behind it, the culture that's behind it. I found it very disappointing. I found it very predictable, like you said, Derek. The makeup was not good. Like I said, also, I didn't think that anything about it screamed the 70s. not that matters, really.
Nobody had a 70s haircut.
No,
not one
no.
single person.
Really? Well, she sort of did. She sort of had a Farrah Fawcett thing going, but
Yeah,
they didn't really
vaguely.
commit to it.
Yeah, kind of like somebody would now. Like, I'm going to go with the 70s cut, and that's what they get. Like, okay, well, it's influenced.
There's some feathering, but,
I think if I remember seeing correctly in like the show mess ups or goofs or something or inconsistencies, like the police officer apparently has like a fade haircut, which they immediately point out was not popular until like maybe 20 years later. So,
I mean, the biggest 70s things about it was she was driving a station wagon, and then the cop car was, definitely of that time period. But
and a typewriter.
Other than that.
Typewriter.
what, that they had one or didn't
No,
have one?
that they had one. She was typing on a typewriter at the beginning of the movie.
I see.
That immediately dates it to sometime before, I guess the 80s.
Sure.
I don't know. I grew up using the typewriter until at least like 8th grade or something.
Humble brag. So, anyways, that was...
It was a teal green one I bought at a yard sale. The ribbon was completely useless. I put food coloring on it. I don't know.
And all the youth listening to this have no clue what you're talking about. So
No, they have no clue. They don't know the struggle.
Yeah, I would say, you guys, if you're looking for something to do on a Saturday night, you want a Netflix and spine-tingling chill, pass.
Watch The
That's
Shape
awesome.
of Water.
Watch The Shape of Water. For that finger falling off, that's pretty scary.
yeah, that's more scarier than this movie, hands down.
So sorry, gentlemen. That was the Curse of Llorona. That was my pick.
We're all cursed now.
Now we're all cursed.
Yep.
We are Llorona. Tell us where we can find everybody at, Justin.
You mean
Or just
yeah, I
you.
was about to say, you mean just me? You can find me on the Zigness podcast every week talking about pop culture and all things nerdy, and definitely not this movie. And that's ZENG. This.
You can find me, just search for Monsters Among Us podcast, basically anywhere you can find them, YouTube, podcatchers, that kind of thing. And also catch out Paranormal Caught on Camera on Sundays, I think at 9 Eastern is when that's on Travel Channel.
How many episodes does that run a season, Derek?
That's an excellent question, David. I have no idea.
Fair enough.
I just answered their questions, and I know very little about anything else that's going on over there. So
Probably as it should be, I guess.
we're shooting season 3 right now. I can tell you that much.
Yay!
From my basement.
Yay!
The whole crew is there.
Yeah, the whole crew is there. They've been sleeping here for weeks. It's really weird, awkward. They're nice, but it's just awkward because we only have a 2-bedroom.
They're trying to get that bungee system set up so they can yank a kid out from your deck. Anyways, you can find Blurry Photos the same way. You just search Blurry Photos Podcast anywhere. Go to blurryphotos.org. At the time this probably comes out, I would say Miss Cryptid has just ended, but you may have time to vote on the finalist. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll just cut this if that's not the case, but who cares?
Here, I'm going to tell you some information. I don't know what the details are, but here's what I got.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So
just making fun.
Here's how you use the garage door opener. When you. So yeah, that's it. That's another night at the round table.
Woot.
I think Justin's up next for picks.
I've got some ideas.
We'll see what he comes up with.
I got some ideas.
Please be gentle, please.
I feel like we had a couple good ones there in a row, and then
tanked.
I had to bring De Los Huevos into this. So.
Oh man.
Anyways, I've been David Flora.
I've been Derek Hayes.
And I'm Zinger.
Bye.
I like turtles.